Hi everyone, what's going on? I got to alert you to one a very significant change in my collection. And as I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but and some of you may have noticed, we got a lot of eagle eyes watching my channel, but I do usually stack the perfumes from top to bottom, from my favorite to, I don't want to say least favorite, but that's basically what it is. My favorite brands or perfumes will go at the top, and then we work our way down. And obviously, here I have my Chanel's because I love my Les Exclusives, right? I've got all my Chanel Les Exclusives, all my favorites. And then I've got the designer range down here, which are very all beautiful. And then I've got my Frederic Malls here. Roja's there kind of because it has no other spot to go into, and that's all the Rojas I have. I lied, I have one more somewhere else, but you know how it goes. You know what I'm saying, right? And then here I have my Guerlains, my classic Guerlains. And then here is, a mix of, this is more of the exclusive Guerlains, the Arts and Materials, the Absolute d'Orient, Le Parisiens for men back there, Parisians for women, Aqua Allegorias and stuff like that. You get it. Limited editions like this, exclusive pieces. I don't know, it's hard to keep up with Guerlain and what they're doing. And then I have my Hermes down here, which I love. I don't talk about Hermes as much as I would like to, but anyway, I've got my Hermes, my Hermesance here, right? And then some of the classic Hermes and Terre over here, and the Merveille series, and you get it, right? And then over here I've got this big empty spot. Why? Well, my Christian Dior's used to come here. I had all my Dior's laid out here. I had one shelf for Dior's. I had 2 shelves of Chanel, 2 shelves for Guerlain, 1 shelf for Hermes, and 1 for Dior. And the reason being is because they went down a shelf. They went down a notch. They went down a notch. And the reason being, I pull these to the front. I love my Homme. Homme is probably my favorite franchise from Dior. More than Fahrenheit, more than Sauvage, more than Poison. I mean, Eau Sauvage. I love my Hommes. And then, the reason I had moved them down is because of their Privé collection, what I find really lackluster. I mean, they're nice if you're a receptionist, but I am not a receptionist, nor do I want to smell like one. Shoutouts to all the receptionists. I'm not trying to offend the receptionists or anything, but I just don't want to smell like a receptionist. I want to smell a little bit more interesting than a receptionist. So that's the reason they moved down a shelf. And here I have decided to put my Celine because I find them much more interesting than Dior's. So this is night clubbing. This is easily my favorite Celine. Easily my favorite Celine. A lot of people say this smells like Dior Homme, and I can vaguely get that, like Dior Homme or Bois d'Argent. Where are you, Bois d'Argent? There you are. Bois d'Argent, Dior Homme. Here we go. Dior Homme. It's interesting, because I can get that in the feeling, in the sensation, but the note pyramid and it's completely different. Like, this is green and bitter and dry, ashy. Yeah, sure, they share some iris and some warmth and some powderiness, right? But the scent profiles are completely different. So I'm not exactly sure what people mean by that, but I imagine it's just kind of more the feeling and the texture than anything else. But there goes my Celine, right? There's night clubbing. Here's black tie. And this is a sensational, I want to call this a vanilla gourmand. And I'm not into gourmands by any means or sweet perfumes, but this is really well done. And for an example, let's go over here. I have, this is a Vanille Diorama. I did not wear all this, okay? I just want you to know this was decanted and I sent some to a friend. I would never, ever torture myself in wearing so much Vanille Diorama because it's not a very good vanilla perfume. This is what I mean by receptionist perfume. This is, you know, it's got their name on it. It's got Dior, you know, written on there. So this is supposed to be a standout. I'm imagining this is their answer to Chanel's Le Lion. And it's not a competition for either Le Lion or for black tie. If you want a supreme vanilla, black tie it is. Black tie is a very boozy vanilla, and I think there's different concentrations of vanilla here. There's several versions of vanilla. It's very thick and syrupy and goopy. It is sweet, but it's very well done. It's stitched to perfection, and I think that's kind of what Hedy was going for, is a very fine vanilla. Somewhat birchy. It's got something of a petrol note in the top. Petrol, birch tar. I don't know. It's very interesting. A little bit aromatic. There was a time where it reminded me of Eau Noir, but I don't get that anymore. No more Eau Noir. Black tie is its own thing. Syrupy, goopy. It might have some Immortelle. That's why I kind of compared it to Eau Noir. Immortelle and lavender. Suede. I want to call this suede, but it's a huge amber perfume. Huge. Churchy, benzoin, rich in benzoin, kind of a scorched tonka. I think that's what separates it from Pour Gourmands. It's tonka, it's sweet, but it's scorched, like it's burnt, very smoky, and I like that. It's very beautiful. For somebody that does not like gourmands, I think this is very well done. You can go back in the corner. Le Peau Nu. This is a powdery floral, rose iris, kind of lipsticky, waxy. I love it. It's beautiful. You know, it's very different from these other two, but it's absolutely gorgeous. A lot of powders run through this line, so I think you'll find in the base, it's you know, they kind of claim for iris, vanilla, and moss, and I get it in a lot of them, but they're all not. I don't necessarily pick up iris in all of them. They're not iris centric. They're not all vanilla centric. This is vanilla centric, Dans Paris. It's almost like almost another gourmand vanilla, but without being overbearingly sweet. I don't find it nearly as sweet as Vanille Diorama. It is lovely though. It is lovely. It's a spicy vanilla, almost along the lines of some of the Guerlain's Art and Matière. Here's Eau de Californie. This is an interesting perfume. It is slightly fresh, very woody, so it's a fresh take on woods, on the Palo Santo note that Hedy grew up with in his days in California. This is the only one that was inspired outside of his hometown, Paris, because he lived in California for a decade. I get a lot of vetiver from this, very crisp vetiver. A lot of woodsy notes, ashiness, incense, slightly smoky. I kind of wish it was a little bit smokier. It does kind of bring to mind sycamore. It brings to mind vetiver extraordinaire. It brings to mind Terre de Hermes. It's got that ISO blast, slightly orangey. I get an orange note, an orange freshness, contrasting the wood accords, but it's lovely. It's a very lovely perfume. And this is Rimbaud. This is their lavender, their take on lavender, which I would compare it to Chanel's Jersey and Caron's Pour un Homme in that class, in that league. This actually might be slightly more interesting, slightly thicker than Jersey, as I love the salty opening to this. It's absolutely gorgeous. I sense a little bit of violet, some iris, but again, it's very powdery, quite floral. Vanilla and tonka. Beautiful tonka. Not sweet, but it's just there, just enough. And here you'll see I have picked up a few more. This is Cologne Francais. Okay, this is their take on fig. You go over there. And this is Parade. Very beautiful bergamot white floral perfume. Very fresh. It's a fresh. They have a nice line of fresh perfumes. This is Reptile. This one's interesting. This is probably the one that I've tried them all. I've sampled them all. This is the one that I've probably connected with the least. And I don't... Reptile is supposed to be their leather perfume. And for me, I don't find it as leathery as I like. You know, the dark, smoky leather, the darker aspects of leather. I don't think there's any leather in there, to be honest, but it's a perception leather. Chandler Burr actually said something really interesting, and this kind of stuck, and it follows Reptile everywhere it goes if you read reviews or watch reviews. And he said it smells like crystal meth, which is an interesting comparison. First of all, I want to know how Chandler Burr knows what crystal meth smells like. I have no idea what crystal meth even is. I'm not sure if it's something you inject or inhale or fucking shove up your ass. I don't know. But shout outs to Chandler Burr. And this is Saint Germain des Prés. And again, another powdery floral. This is gorgeous. We talked about Boy last week being heliotrope heavy. If you like heliotrope, if you love the butteriness of that along with almond, this is almost in the same class as Boy. You know, it's not I wouldn't consider this a fougere at all, and it doesn't smell like Boy, but it has that powdery softness, that creaminess. It has a beautiful top, that green, orange blossom. I want to say neroli. It's got a gorgeous top, you know, from the orange tree, right? Bergamot, neroli, orange blossom. You know, it's got the twigs and the leaves and all that. Absolutely beautiful. So the line is, a lot of them are very powdery, warm, creamy. You know, they got the feel of Bois d'Argent. They got the feel of Dior, but they don't necessarily smell like them. Not to me, at least. You know, if somebody gets that, great for them. I'm not knocking your perception. All I'm saying is I don't necessarily get them. There should be one more release coming soon. It should have been out already, and I think it's called Bois Dormant or something. I gotta look it up. I saw it the other day. I gotta give a shout out to Nicholas from Au Solage. He's got his blog, and he's really the first one that had notified me of this. He had messaged me one day a few years back, and he's like, "Oh, I know how much you love Chanel. And there's this new line, Celine's coming out. It's Hedi Slimane, and if you like Chanel, you're gonna love these perfumes because they do pretty much what Chanel does. Probably not at the same level, but very similar styles, very similar aesthetics." And I was like, okay, and you can tell by the packaging too, it is very Chanel-like. And I was like, all right, cool. And it's been a few years that they've been released. They weren't available in Canada for up until just this past fall. So Also got to give a shout out to my man Rudy, A Time to Musk Up, who had been forwarding these. He'd been muling these over the border from the U.S. First, he sent me some samples, and I would purchase, the ones that I liked, and have them ordered to his house, and he would mule them over to me. But I'm glad that we have finally got a boutique here in Toronto at the Plaza, and they carry the whole range. These are the 200 ml bottles. I did go for the 200 ml size because, it's going to be only a matter of 4 or 5 years that these probably will be reformulated, right? And I don't want to deal with that if I don't have to. So I did go with the baller size. But there's the entire range. I have completed the entire range. I imagine I will wear all of these. They're all beautiful in their own way. Are they the greatest thing in all of perfume? Hell no, they're not. But to me, they're very interesting. They're very well made. Very well made, I have to say that. Dior's are very well made too, but I just find them kind of lackluster, and they don't hold my interest. I get more upset wearing my privés than I do enjoy them, and that's really why I've moved them down a shelf. I'll say this: the Celines probably aren't as interesting as the Hermès. I find the Hermès are brilliantly done, but at the same time, they're probably more wearable, right? Hermès, they're not at all outrageous, but they're much more interesting. They're probably better made, but these are more wearable. They're more conceptual. Not conceptual. Hermès are more conceptual. These are more wearable. You know what I mean. Anyway, there you go. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments, do you have a favorite Celine? Do you have any that you don't like? Let us know in the comments. Always love seeing who shows up in the comments, and thank you for that. I do appreciate it. Anyway, good talking to you, good seeing you, and I'll see you soon.